On Can and Think Big, we featured the biggest and brightest entrepreneurs in Singapore. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to meet Zhang Ting Jun, who is the co-founder and director of the Chain Reaction Project, a not-for-profit organisation supporting charitable partners around the region. My name is Neil Moore and this is Can and Think Big.
My name is Zhang Ting Jun. I'm the co-founder of the Chain Reaction Project. And what we do is we use adventure as a platform to raise funds and awareness for different causes in the region.
So you use adventure as a platform. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, I think for us, adventure is fun, right? It's something that we intrinsically already enjoy doing. So what we try to do is we try to use the adventure as a way of getting people involved and engaged, and then using that as a platform to introduce the cause to them, to educate them a little bit more about a cause, a charity partner on the ground. So for example, we have a trip that we run in Cambodia. And we work with a school that helps to prevent human trafficking through education. And our adventure in Siem Reap starts off on a floating pig farm on Tong Lei Sap Lake. And then we work our way back through the city. We take part in the Angkor Wat Half Marathon before we actually end at the school, where the participants get to meet these students, and get to find out more about the cause.
So the idea sounds very adventurous, very exciting, very accessible. What difficulties did you face when you were trying to get it up and running?
Ironically, it was convincing people that it was a good idea. And things always seem like a good idea on hindsight, right? Like we sit here now, we talk about it, oh, that sounds exciting. Of course, everybody wanted to be a part of that. But that wasn't really the case in the beginning. When we first started out, it was really difficult to convince people, to come on board the idea. We were trying to raise funds and raise awareness, and it was tough. I remember, when we started the Chain Reaction Project, we were only a month out from the race itself. And we'd set ourselves, like a $40,000 fundraising target. And 2 weeks into it, we were at about $1,200, and $1,000 was from my dad. So, it was difficult in the beginning. But I think what really turned that around, and what has turned a lot of our difficulties or challenges around, have been the people around us who have taken sort of that leap of faith with us.
Ting Jun was a young netballer when I was president of Netball Singapore. I noticed her because she's young, she's beautiful, she's tall, and she reminds me of myself.
We weren't sleeping. It became almost like an obsession at the time, And Ivy said, "Well, what do you need? What do you need to get this off the ground?"
So when she approached me to help the chain reaction, I was convinced that she will do a good job.
And I said, $20,000? She said, okay, done. And she sat down, she wrote a check on the spot. And, for me, it wasn't so much about the money, it was about someone really showing that they had faith in us. I cried all the way home. I called Alex, my co-founder, in the car, and I was like, she's like, what's wrong? I was like, no, it's just I was having lunch with Ivy. And I think for us, that was a really pivotal point. She really gave me this sense of wanting to help other people, to pass that feeling on of someone believing in you.
So with the initial sort of funding issue solved, did things become easier? What happened next?
There was still a lot of different obstacles to overcome. But what happened was we took those funds, we raised another $20,000 on the back of it. I think that for that first adventure, I think we raised almost $50,000 for Hiam Health, and a lot of media awareness, more than we'd expected, honestly. I mean, we didn't know what to expect with TCRP in the beginning. We didn't know if this would work. We didn't know how the media would respond. But coming back from Timor that first time round, there were so many people, friends and family members, who said, where are you going next? How can I get involved? So
you've left your full-time job, quite a scary step. You're running TCRP full-time. I can imagine you felt quite nervous at first. Do you still feel nervous? Was there a point where you sort of thought, okay, this is running now, this is all good, or is it still a bit of an adventure for you?
I felt a lot of doubt, a lot of anxiety, huge amounts of stress, but never nervous. I think partly because, I've been surrounded by a really strong team.
So before we come to the end of this first episode of Canon Think Big, perhaps you can summarise for us, what do you think has been the biggest achievement or the biggest accomplishment so far?
You know, what I realized was that over the past 2-3 years, we've raised almost $500,000. This year we'll have over 600 participants collectively who've joined us on our adventures, and those funds and the effort of all of these catalysts as a whole have impacted some 35,000 women and children on the ground. And it kind of blows my mind in a way, because I never thought that we would be able to have that kind of impact. When we started off, it was 4 of us on our bikes. So yeah, I think if nothing else, it's really shown me the power of the catalysts, and the fact that the Chain Reaction Project was never about the 4 of us and what the 4 of us could achieve, right? It was really about what all of these different individuals have brought and collectively have managed to do.
It's an incredible and very inspirational story, a great example of thinking big. Thank you very much indeed.